Good day, everybody. Welcome to Handlebarber Dave's Barbershop at Home. Today we are going to move on to Straight Razor Shaving 101. We're assuming that you've followed the curriculum. So if you're watching this video 7 days later than SRS.100, then great. If you're watching it concurrently, that's fine too. But we're going to speak as if people have already had their 7 days of practice. So we'll go ahead and get started. So hopefully for the last 7 days, you've been practicing the with the grain procedure with both hands. It should start being more comfortable for you using both hands. We hope that you've actually used some of the techniques that we showed you. So let's go ahead and review or talk about actually what we're going to be doing in Shave 100 or Shave 101 today. Basically, we're going to review most of the stuff that we did in Module 100. We're going to talk about the 100 shave threshold. We're going to talk about lathering techniques, bowl versus face, as it relates to straight razor shaving. We're going to review the blade angle and technique of the fulcrum, and we're going to introduce a new pass, and it is against the grain pass. This is up. Now, please understand that when we get into later sections and we're talking about beard mapping, you're against the grain, across the grain, and with the grain may not be exactly how we're showing it, but for illustrative purposes, the vast majority, the against the grain pass that we're going to show today, which is up from south to north, is what most people have. We're going to be doing 2 passes with the straight razor, 1 pass with the DE, just like we did before. We'll go ahead and do the shave demo, and then you guys will do 7 days of practice on that as well. So let's review 100. We showed you and talked about where to buy the razors, Whip Dog, eBay, stuff like that. Always to buy 2 razors. We identified the parts of the straight razor that you'll need to know. How to hold, whether it be a 3-finger hold or whether it be a 2-finger hold. That's entirely up to you, what's comfortable. The strop, we talked about the jean strop, and it must be mentioned that I did pre-strop this today, only using the jean strop, and after each pass we'll also do 10 on that to show you and illustrate a little bit more of that. We talked about facial preparation, which is probably the most important thing. Lather preparation, technique, meaning the fulcrum, the straight wrist, using your shoulder as the guide. Blade angle, 1 spine width off your face. So if you have your face here, 1 spine width off. Proper skin stretching techniques, and we're going to go into hyper stretching in a later series as well. And then we did your first pass with the grain down, and we did that by first DE shave pass, and then of course 2 passes with the straight razor. We did the demo and then hopefully the practice. So once again, we hope you're enjoying the series so far. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So as far as the 100 shave threshold, now this has been in the straight shaving lore for ages. Now, does it always apply? No, but in most consistent cases it does. Meaning that the amount of shaves that you're going to need to feel reasonably comfortable in your technique, reasonably comfortable in how you're getting shaves, and that breakthrough, because there's going to be a lot of little epiphanies that you're going to have throughout your shaving career. And we're going to talk about logging and diaring your shaves here in Shave 101, or excuse me, Shave 102, or 103, one of those two, or any of those. So that is going to help you see the thresholds that you're meeting. But the 100 shave threshold is the one where you can say, wow, I've arrived. Now, some people do it in 50 shave, some people do it in 300 shaves. But the 100th shave seems to be a milestone for everybody where they start saying, wow, this is all coming together. So that's really when you hear people say that, okay, you need to have 100 shaves. That's what they're talking about. And it also, believe it or not, is when you will start spilling less red bodily crimson fluid from your face. That seems to be about the same thing. So use that as may. It's a lore, but take your time. This is a marathon, not a sprint. These 7-day practice sessions are set up for a specific reason, so hopefully you're following that as well. Lathering techniques. Let's talk about bowl lathering versus face lathering. That's all personal preference. Now, I can only speak for myself. I prefer to face lather, and I'll show you why. Now, I have pre-made some and I don't know how well you can see that. I have done a bowl lather with our system that we're talking about, and it comes out well. You do control the water. The only thing that I don't like about bowl lathering, and this is me personally, is to really incorporate the lather, you almost have to squeeze this out and then put it back in the bowl and then add your water accordingly. And I also find with bowl lathering that the lather itself is a little too aerated. Now, that could be my technique in bowl lathering too. I'm just not a big bowl lathering person. Some people think it gives them more control. I'm the exact opposite, but I'm going to show you the difference in the different consistency of lather. So this is straight from the bowl. I haven't face lathered. Now I am going to rinse it out and then load straight from the puck. So what I find with bowl lathering is I have a tendency, which I did here, is I overhydrate it, and it becomes very airy and very thin. Now this is me. Some people that are very good at bowl lathering, good for them. But to me, as you can see, it's very almost too thin. It's very slick, but I'm not getting the properties that I feel. Now that's just me. So I'll rinse this off. And I'm also going to rinse the brush out and go directly on the puck, which I've had blooming for a little while. And like I said, that wasn't a real good example because I know that I overhydrated the lather. So it became very bubbly and airy. It's still good, still slick, but there's something about, to me, face lathering that I like better because you're loading the soap right off the puck. Your proto lather is really very little water and mostly soap. So then when you go to face lather, to me, yes, it has a more sticky appearance in the beginning. But see there, by doing this, I know, you can see the lines and the chunkiness. So I know this lather is not good for right now. So what I can do is I can add droplets of water directly to the brush, which actually seep down into the knot, and then incorporate with the soap that's already in my face. Plus, with bowl lathering, in my opinion, you don't, even though you're doing a lot of the same strokes, the vast majority of the stroke you're doing is the paintbrush stroke because you've already got the lather built and consistent. Once you start agitating the brush onto your face for your pores and your sebaceous glands, you can thin the lather out too much as well. So, but once again, that's all personal opinion. It just depends what you like. Now this right here, this lather that I've got right here, I believe would be perfect for a DE. It's very, very nice and pillowy and thick. But for a straight razor, I think it's a little bit too thick. So we're going to go ahead and thin it out a little bit more. To thin it out some. And as you can see, it's starting to fling all over the place. Now that's thinned it out some. I probably want to thin it out just a little bit more, even though we're going to be using a DE razor to start off with. So what we're going to assume at this point is we're going to assume that we've already done our first pass with the straight razor. Okay, and that would be with the grain. A little bit more water. So once again, we're going to map our area that we're going to be shaving. So once again, so this would technically be pass 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, this is basically the against the grain pass and the shave demo all in one. So basically we're taking our DE for the first pass just like we did before, Stretching will remain the same. Use your dominant hand on whatever side you're going to start on and come up straight, but using everything. Now holding the straight razor is what we're going to be showing you, but it's always going to be to have the heavy side down towards your neck. So you just lift your head up and stretch. Now, as I said, we're doing this first pass with a DE razor just so you can knock down some of that bulk. Now, when you get to the fact where you're doing all three passes with the straight razor, then you won't be doing two passes like we are today. The two passes is primarily for practice. Now, it's funny, when I'm DE shaving, I have a tendency to use my dominant hand more. But you'll see when we get to the straight razor pass, that's going to be different. Okay, our first pass is done with the DE, so we'll put that away. And now we're going to concentrate on the against the grain pass. Now this, once again, we're using the raw Fost again, and this has been pre-stropped on the jean strop only. Now we're going to be starting our against the grain pass. Now, usually with the against the grain passes also, I do not do a lot of scrubbing with the brush as I did with the grain pass, because you've already got the follicles happy and oily and all that kind of fun stuff. So I usually just do brush strokes, but as you can see, once again, with face lathering, you can control the thinness of the lather, I think, better myself. You know, that's just once my personal opinion. Okay, let's talk about blade angle. Once again, one spine off, but you're also going to be doing a little bit of a different technique. Now, we're going to be using our dominant hand first, open the razor, and hold it flat. Now, some people will hold it like this, just kind of a reverse of what you're doing, or two. That's what I do. So this is how I'm doing it normally. All I'm doing is flipping it and pivoting it down. That's it. Now I will adjust that, because when you're doing with the grain, depending on where you're shaving, that's going to adjust. So with your dominant hand, cross face, blade angle, but remember, you're going to have to curve your blade out a little bit because you're following the contours of your neck and your jawline. And also, as you're coming up, nice even strokes, but use the whole blade and use your thumb to stretch, coming up just a little bit above the jawline, and around the Adam's apple, just make sure you tilt your head back and make sure you're really stretching. And then once again, we talked about your sponge or keeping the blade wet. And then once again, pull down, hyper stretching. And just follow that. And then on your lip, what I would recommend when you're starting out is taking your finger, stretching it here, and coming across this way. On the chin, hold it down. And once again, you can either blow it up like that or like that. Okay, now we're going to switch hands, and this is where you're going to see how the doing it with both hands makes sense, but it's also going to be a little awkward in the beginning. But if you notice, I'm using my right hand to shave the left side of my face, my left hand to shave the right hand of my face. This is going to be really important when we get into the actual full 3-pass shave, cross shave method, cross face shave method. Now, besides using your thumb and forefinger to stretch your skin out and to pull your skin down, you can also blow up your cheek like we talked about yesterday. And there you go. There's the first against the grain pass. I hope it went well for you. Now we're going to strop on the gene strop 10 times. Remember, nice, slow, and easy strokes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when you come down the last pass, you can actually come across it at an angle. Okay, so she's ready for the next pass. We'll rinse. And we'll reapply our lather. Now the reason why you'll see me using a circular pattern and really getting the brush into the pores is because this is traditionally our last pass, and this will be your across the grain pass. But what it does is because remember, shaving is not about removing whiskers, it's about reducing whiskers. And so this is going to be the final reduction, and so you want to kind of stimulate those pores to tighten up a little bit because they don't shrink or they don't close, but the surrounding tissue around them will swell and or constrict with cold water, and will make the hair stand up a little bit more for your last pass. I usually add a little bit of water at the end for my last pass because the soap is still a little bit thick, plus it's not as hydrated as it was before. And once again, whether you do this bowl lathering or face lathering is entirely up to you. Okay, so we're going to once again map out where we're shaving. And then we're going to basically repeat the process. Now, the reason why we're having you do it twice is just to get that muscle memory, and we'll discuss that in just a minute. So once again, dominant hand to the opposite side of the face, pull down with your thumb, stretch up with your chin. Nice short, even strokes, maintaining that blade angle of one spine width off the face, or about 30 degrees. And then when you get up near the chin, follow through. Follow through. Same thing here. Follow through. It'll make it much easier. Because remember, a blade that's standing by itself is a dangerous blade, in my opinion. Okay, for the other side of the face, switch hands, same thing. So as you can see, you can make pretty quick work of it just as long as you keep practicing. And then here, you can either blow it up like this with your tongue, or just like that. So I did it before, the first pass, where I did this. Now I'll do it with the tongue blown up, or the tongue blowing up the cheek. I personally don't like doing it that way because there's too many, because even if you stick your tongue in flat, there's still too many divots, where if you do this, and I'll illustrate that, we do this, to me it seems much easier. But that, once again, that's all personal preference. So we want to dry the blade off. We'll strop that later. Afterwards, we'll go ahead and rinse. And dry the face. Now, like I said, what I would do here is, this is probably DFS at best, damn fine shave. Take your DE and do your normal DE cleanup, but don't try to clean up with the straight razor just yet, because remember, what we're concentrating on is the with the grain and the against the grain pass. We'll go ahead and do some post shave, and then we'll finish discussing this for your next 7 days of practice. And I'm using the same system as I mentioned in Shave 100. And we'll be using this for the entire series. Okay, let's talk about your next 7 days of practice with your against the grain pass. What you want to do is, starting on the 8th day, and for some of you that are watching it in order, then that'll be tomorrow. If you're watching it immediately, like I said, I wouldn't jump ahead unless you feel really comfortable, because you don't want to create any bad habits. So in your next 7 days of practice, what I want you to do is work on your lathering, thinning out the lather for a straight shave, whether it be bowl or by face. First pass with the grain with your DE. The next 2 passes are going to be against the grain with your straight razor, as we just showed you. So do 2 passes against the grain, 1 pass with the grain with your DE razor. Practice that for 7 days. And in SRS.102, we're going to start incorporating the cross the grain pass. And that'll be a 14-day practice session. And then, of course, when we get into the higher numbers, we're going to start eliminating the DE razor altogether and just use that. So once again, this was a lot quicker than obviously the first video, because we had to get some stuff in there. So this has been the HBD, or Handlebarber Dave's straight razor shaving method, class number 101. We reviewed 100, and we will drop class number 102 tomorrow. Once again, if you're following it in order, you want to practice for 7 days, then come back and watch the video. Or if you want to watch the video, you can do so, but try not to jump ahead. As we had mentioned yesterday, the video will be located in the forum media section under shaving tutorials at www.theshavingcadre.com. It will also be posted as a link on our Shaving Cadre Facebook page, and then of course I will have it on the Handlebarber Dave Instagram link as well. So we hope you enjoyed that. Once again, please let us know what you think of the tutorial so far, whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, or so forth. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line via PM on Facebook, and at theshavingcadre.com, or DM on Instagram. So that's been it. Handlebarber Dave's Barbershop at Home. SRS number 101 is in the books, and we'll see you next time for the next straight razor shave.